So now the second slide is visible. What is the first slide?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
It is visible.
Right. Right, sir. Thank you. Okay, now the every individual or the family, they have their own dreams. Now, especially dreams related to what? Dreams related to the financial dreams. Now you can also try to recollect your financial dreams. Now somebody may wants to travel, somebody wants to rich and richer, somebody wants to buy a new car, or somebody wants to buy a higher end car, which a lower end is there now, or somebody wants to go by construction of a new house. So like that, or you want to conduct certain ceremonies in the family. It may be a marriage of your kid or education of your kid. It may be related to the abroad education. Like that, there are different dreams are there, and every dream which is associated with the amount of money, which is called a financial dream. And you can also recollect, or you can also note down your financial dreams. What are your financial dreams? So the financial dream which you want to experience in the next year, or after 5 years, after 10 years, like this. Now ultimately we will also have a dream to accumulate certain amount of money for the purpose of retirement. Now come to that. Now we are not going to discuss the various other aspects. We want to focus only on the retirement. Now, how much money which you require at the time of your retirement? Anybody want to answer? How much money you want, or how much you want to accumulate? You know that how much service you have left over, and how much you are contributing every year, and this is going to how much at the end of your service. You have any idea how much money you want?
The daily expenses into number of years of service.
Okay.
Remember one formula which we thought.
Okay. No, sir, forget about formulas and all. How much money you want at the time of retirement? You want 10 crores, 1 crore, 100 crores, 50 crores, like that I'm asking.
8 crores for my
8 crores.
yeah.
8 crores. Any
It
more
is
answers?
need-based. It is
We
need-based.
can't say that. We can't say,
Not
sir, how
exactly,
much.
right? So
Not
that's why it
exactly.
is very difficult to tell you that this is the amount which you require. Like, anyhow, there are certain calculations which we will also discuss. But what is important is how much service leftover is important. From how many years you are accumulating only for retirement is also important. And another important point is how much money which you want to expend every month after your retirement. So generally after retirement, the income will comes down. Expenses may not comes down, expenses will increases. So the type of expenses are different after the retirement. So those expenses you can also try to assign what type of expenses which you are going to incur. So that's why each and every the expenditure item you can estimate or predict, and for each and every item of expenditure how much money which is required, that also we will consider here. So here the creation of fund is important. So for the purpose of creation of the fund, Now, there are different ways to create the amount of fund. Now, your PF may be one, national pension scheme is also one. If it is into old pension scheme, you will get a monthly amount of your salary, that is 50% of your salary you will get. Now, for the purpose of new pension scheme employees, the calculations are different. Now, not only that, you can also create certain assets. The assets will also generate the income. Now, based on that, the retirement fund is how much which you require to maintain the at least same level of living standards. Now, if you want to maintain the same living standards, now the big issue here is the inflation. So today 10,000, after 10 years, it may be equivalent to 1,000. So that's why the inflationary tendencies in the economy is also comes into picture. So if you enjoy your retirement life, that's why the retirement corpus creation is very, very important. Now, because you are all the professors working with different colleges and universities, that's why my job is very easy to share my thoughts with you. Because if it is a farmer, their retirement plan is different. If it is a private employee, now that employee's retirement plan is maybe different. So differ from one industry to the another industry, one family to another. Now based on the amount of money which you required to spend 1 month varies depending on the place where you are staying. If it is Mangalore, if it is Mysore, if it is Bangalore, if it is Hyderabad, if it is Delhi, if it is Mumbai, now the monthly expenses are different. So place is also going to play an important role. Time is also going to play an important role. And size of the family is also going to play an important role. Now after the retirement, so only wife and husband is there or any dependents are there. Now those dependents are also going to play an important role to create more amount of corpus to meet the more than two. So like that, here we have to estimate the retirement corpus. The retirement corpus which we have to estimate, and every month this retirement amount, whatever the amount which you want to contribute every month, you should invest somewhere. Now, the investment in the different forms, which we will discuss, the avenues which are available for the investment. Now, come down to the personal financial planning. There are different aspects which are involved in it. We will call it as steps or stages. Cash flow management, risk management, investment planning, tax planning, retirement planning, estate planning. Okay. What is cash flow management? The amount of money which you receive and which you pay. So, what is the inflow of cash and outflow of cash? That also you must try to identify. You can also try to manage this cash flow and try to maintain a positive cash flow, because your income may be 1 lakh but your expenditure may be 1,50,000 every month. That leads to a problem. Now, not only that, every employees, when you go through the pay slip, salary may be 2 lakhs, right? Net salary may be 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. Because the net is going to play an important role. How much money which you have net. Now, out of that, how much you are saving. Now, that savings are going to play an important role. Now, not only that, we are also having a risk. Risk is very simple. Now, risk is there because of the uncertainty. Because future is uncertain. If you invest in a particular security, now each and every security which will be affected with different factors. Those who are teaching financial management, you know very well. You may be invested in equity shares, you may be invested in debentures, bonds, or you may be invested in mutual funds like. Every instrument or every avenue is exposed to different factors. For example, if you see the stock market trend yesterday, there is a big crash in the market. Now, out of 30 BSE Sensex companies, 29 companies' share price is into red. Observe it. Now, 30 companies' market capitalization is equivalent to 60 to 65% of the total market capitalization. So, how much effect which is there in the market when these 30 companies' share prices are crashed, or maybe 20 companies' share prices may be crashed in the market? So, every investment which is also going to be affected because of number of factors. Now, when you read the today's newspaper relating to yesterday's market crash, the reason is simply they identified because of the war. Now the market is crashed. Now, whoever the foreign institutional investors which are invested in the Indian market, Indian capital market, they withdrawn their amount of investment. Means they sold out their holdings in the market. So number of sellers are more, buyers are less. Now there is a bear run in the market. Now that leads to the risk. So how you are going to manage the risk which you may be invested in the different securities? No, not only that, if you deposit with a bank also there is a risk. What is that? There is a risk of inflation. So at the time of deposit, the rate of inflation, for example, 4%. Now after 1 year, that 4 becomes 6% inflation rate. But interest rate may not increase like inflation rate increases in the market. Now according to that, what is going to happen is, now the real interest rate is important. So nominal interest rate may be 7%, but real interest rate may not be 7%. The real interest rate may be adjusted with the inflation rate. If you adjust with the inflation rate, that normal interest rate, you will get a real interest rate. So that's why every investment which is exposed to risk, this is related to the different factors which are developing over a period of time. Now, for that, we must go for investment planning. So, selection of combination of securities and how we are going to diversify the risk. What is the proportion of money which you want to invest in different securities? From the time to time, you can also try to revise your portfolio of investment, and according to that, how you are going to avoid the risk or reduce the risk, which is very important, which will comes under your investment planning. I'm not into deep or the detail because our focus is on retirement planning. So tax planning, death is certain, tax is also certain, which is not uncertain. Now, if you buy anything, even if you invest in any security, now they are going to impose the tax on the profits. It may be short-term capital gains or it may be long-term capital gains. Now there is a short-term capital gains tax in the market, and long-term capital gains tax is also there in the market. So on investments, we have tax, and not only that, even if you are going to expend on the different items of heads, you can also pay the tax on it. So we have the beautiful three letters GST. So whatever you buy, you will pay the GST. It may be CGST, it may be SGST, or it may be IGST like. So we can't avoid the taxes. Now that's why we must try to plan it, how to reduce the tax burden which is involved in it. That's why some of the securities are there which will offer tax benefits to the investors. That also you can try to observe the securities which are there with the tax benefits, and based on that you can also try to plan your tax payment, how to reduce your tax burden. This is possible with planning. Now we are also into retirement planning. So every family or the person, they must go for the retirement planning. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Now we will discuss in detail. Now the last one is estate planning. What do you mean by estate planning? Anybody? Anybody having estate planning meaning? Is it
Property,
audible?
sir.
Investments in real estate, sir.
Property,
Mm-hmm. Madam?
property,
Investment in real
Investment
estate.
in real estate, sir.
Property.
Sorry, sir, I'm not getting your point.
investments in properties and real estates.
Okay. Any other answer?
Sir, it is planning how our assets should be managed after our demise.
Excellent, sir. Excellent, excellent. Sir, estate planning is not real estate planning. Estate planning means before our death, right? Whatever the assets and liabilities which you have, that must you have to share among your kids. So the will writing is important. You have to write a will. Every year you have to write a will. Nobody knows when you are going to pass it away, right? So for that, which is called estate planning, because after our demise, our sons or the daughters will fight each other for the distribution. Now that is comes under estate planning, right? We are not going to discuss that. Anyhow, estate planning is also a big subject. Now, earning assets, creating assets is one part, and distributing the assets among the children is also a big task to the parents. So that is comes under estate planning. So right, we have to focus on the retirement planning, right? Now here, take one quotation from here. The question is not at what age I want to retire, it is at what income. Is it correct or not? We are talking about age, no? Now age is important now.
No, sir, no.
No, if you ask the present generation, they want to retire at the age of 50 only. They want to retire at the age of 45. Whatever the money which they accumulated, they want to travel the whole world, or whatever the area which they have interest. They want to spend rest of their life in the social activities or forming an NGO like. They have their own interest. Or somebody wants to go for agriculture, or somebody wants to travel different devotional places like. Okay. So now all the government employees which they retire according to the age, the retirement age which is prescribed by the universities or the governments. That we know very well. But in the coming future, age is not important. But how much money which you may be accumulated, that money is important. If you have 100 crores or 50 crores, the 100 or 50 crores you may be accumulated at the age before the 50 years of age. Now you want to retire, you can retire it. So age is not important, but the amount is important. That's why how much amount which you want, and after that amount only you can go for the retirement. But as a government employee, now we are not having any plan. But thing is that we can retire according to the retirement age. But somebody they will go by VRS also. Why? Because they already accumulated the required amount of money. They can also wants to go for VRS. That scheme is also there. Now there are certain myths about the retirement planning. The myths are, now can always keep working. Is it possible?
No.
No, you can't work up to death. There are different problems which you may face, like ill health or different diseases. You may or you may not. But recent survey says that the average age is increasing throughout the globe. That's why the governments are also planning to enhance the retirement age. I'm talking about the government organizations and all. Because the average age may be now reached 60 to 65 like in India. But in other developed countries, it is more than 70. In some of the countries, it is 80 years. 70 to 80 years is the average age. Now, see, now the job employment, the governments are also facing a problem of creating the employment opportunities for the 70 or 80 years of age people. That is also important now. So there are different dimensions. Now, lower tax bracket after retirement. Now, somebody thought that after retirement my income will be comes down. That's why my tax payment are the maybe very small or maybe nil also, like they will think like that. Now, not only that, inheritance will cover the retirement needs. Whatever the assets are there, or maybe children are there, they are looking into the parents, like work till full retirement age. So retirement age may be 60 years somewhere, 65 years somewhere, like from state to state, university to university, the age retirement age is different. Now Medicare will cover all health expenses. Now, if you have a Mediclaim policy or health insurance policy, people thought that every disease will be covered, like no. If you read out the guidelines strictly, now so many exemptions are there. You please try to know your health insurance policy, what type of diseases which are covered, how much room rent they will pay. Like these are all there are different conditions are there. You please try to read out and try to know about the coverage of your policy. Now, needless income after retirement. No, social security will take care of retirement needs. Even central government is also announced very recently. Those who crossed the 70 years of age and government wants to give some amount of money, like. But in developed countries, which is there, but in India, it is to be implemented. Now, 20s is too early to start saving. For example, the students may get the job at the age of 20 or at the age of 22, 25, like they thought that it is very early to save the money and invest in the market, like. Now, these are all the myths. For example, you may be having kids and the mother or father says that my kid will take care of my retirement life, like. Is it correct? The rest of the retirement life will be taken care by the kids. Can you assume like this?
No, sir.
No,
Any
sir.
answer?
No.
No, don't, please don't don't expect. Please don't expect this. Right? Try to realize yourself. Don't depend on your kids. So their business is their business, our business is our business. Clear? So try to know certain myths. Don't go with those myths. Okay. Now, why retirement planning? So, retirement planning, which is required for the spending the amount of money, not only that, which is increasing over a period of time. That's why we have to plan. And work life is also shrinking. The work life is decreasing in one way. In another way, which is increasing based on the increasing medications and all. Increasing lifespan. Lifespan from different states, the average lifespan which is presented here. Delhi 75.3, Kerala 75.3, Jammu and Kashmir 74, like this. Now we have the average age of the people in different states, different countries. Like when the life expectancy is increasing, now you will also increase your corpus. Now, not only that, you can also take your family history. Nobody, nobody was died previously before 90 years of age. So your expected age may be also 90 years. Now, okay, it is well and good, but in financial terminology, if you are living more and more number of years, you require more and more amount of money in the form of corpus. So that you must try to remember. So increasing life expectancy will needs the more amount of retirement corpus. Not only that, decreasing savings rates. You know very well the amount of interest which is decreasing, and you can also observe here how the savings rates which are decreasing. See, after the introduction of credit card system in the market, tell me, when you are using credit card means what? You are expending next month's salary in this month. Am I correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Are you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The amount which is not earned, the amount which is not earned, but you are expending, right? This leads to what? This leads to decreasing savings, no savings. So savings rates of the families or the individuals which is also decreasing. Now, lack of social security. So, for example, you can take US, Europe, and other countries. Senior citizens receive social security benefits. Now, in our country, also in certain states, the social security benefit is there, but it is how much? It is very meager. Some 3,000, 2,000. Now, the governments are paying as a old age pension. But is it sufficient? That you have to think of. Now, we will also have this old pension system which is replaced with the new pension system, and how much money we are going to get we don't know, because which is invested in the capital market, and the securities prices which are decreasing or increasing over a period of time, but at the time of your retirement how much money you are going to get nobody knows. Because it is market linked. Inability to depend on the children. So don't depend on the children. Once again, I am sharing. Uh, don't plan for depending on the children. You must plan according to your requirement. Whatever the money which you are earning now, you please try to plan yourself. So these are the certain statements which I have presented here. My children will take care of me when I retire. But this is only a myth. But in all the cases, it may not be proved. Only a few cases may be there. But majority of the cases, nobody takes care because they maybe live somewhere far away, right? Now the children are settling in different countries. They are moving to Canada, moving to Australia, New Zealand, US, UK, and other European countries like. So that's why the families are becoming nuclear families. When the families are becoming nuclear, you must have a corpus which you must lead your life without any tension. Now, decreasing interest rates, saving rate is decreasing, interest rate is also decreasing. This is also a danger. So, when interest rate is decreasing, for example, you can take the deposits. Okay, interest rates offered by the different public sector and private sector banks for the different types of deposits. Now, when the interest rate is decreasing, inflation rate is increasing, how much you are going to earn on your deposit? That also important. Not only that, you can, in the form of the investment in different securities or bonds, government bonds, or even sovereign bonds, municipal bonds, like. This is the way the rate is coming down. Now, interest rate on savings bank account, interest rate on the fixed deposits account, recurring deposits account, you know very well. Now, according to that, you have to select. So, requirement for more money. Why more money is required? More money is required in different forms. For example, the amount of money which you may require more because of medical expenses. Now, increasing electricity bills, increasing telephone bills, now increasing rent. Not only that, the annual maintenance or the monthly maintenance expenses. Now, each and every item's price which is increasing in the market, which is not decreasing. That's why the money, whatever the money which you require to spend your 1 month, today how much you require, but after 10 years, if you want to spend that 1 month, how much you require, you please try to compare it. So if 30,000 is enough to meet your regular expenses of a particular month, now when you compare after 10 years, it may be double or it may be triple also required. So just you have to observe the room rents, like, okay, how much you may be paid 10 years back or 5 years back now, and after 5 years, after 10 years, like. So that's why each and every item of expenditure head which is going to increase in the future. So based on, if the current expense is 1 lakh, how much will you need in future? So monthly income needed post retirement in rupees lakhs, which I presented one table here. Age is 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, like. So when it is started 30 years of age, 35, 40, like. Now this is the money which you require. So after 5 years, when you maybe 30 years, 1 lakh is required. Now after 5 years, you require 1.34. Now this is the rate which is going to accumulate by taking 6% is the inflation rate per year. If you take 6% as inflation rate into account, now these are the expenses which is going to increase over a period of time, and according to you are going to reach the age of 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, like. So inflation rate effect is very, very important, and you must try to take care of it. So the amount of money which is eaten away by the inflation rate, that's why we are going to uh, consider the time value of money. So time value of money is very much important because of inflationary tendencies in the market. So present value is this much, future value is how much, right? If future value is this much, present value is how much. So like this, we have to calculate and introduce the concept of time value of money. You can discount your cash flows with 10% or 5%. So according to the percentage which you are going to consider, if higher the percentage, the cash flows will comes down. If lower the percentage you want to discount, now the cash flows will be more. So that is the cash flows value which is depending on the discount rate in the market. So these are the inflationary tendencies in the market over a period of time. Now this is also changing in between 2 to 4%. So plus 4 plus 2 6%, and 4 minus 2 is 2%. Now because in the case of India they are managing the inflation rates, right? So the managed inflation rate is 2 to 4%. Now it may be more also, even 6%, 6.5%, 6.2%, like. So when the rate is increasing, now the RBI will come into the market and they try to manage the inflation tendencies in the market. Okay, if inflation rate is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 percentage, like. So for example, how a 1 rupee annual expense which is going to increase in 40 years. If it is 4%, if it is 5%, 6, 7, 8, 9%, like. So how this is going to increase? Now these are the practical things which you must try to consider, and you please take care of the inflation rates which are going to affect your future cash flows. Ultimately, your retirement corpus is also affected with this inflation rate. Now certain countries are into even lakhs of inflation rate, thousands of inflation rate. Now, for example, you can take Zimbabwe and other countries. They simply suspended their own currency and they are using the dollars as their currency because of the higher inflation rate in the country. So, like that, the effect of inflation on the retirement savings also you must try to calculate and find out if this is the corpus, this is the rate of inflation which is there in the market, and according to that, from today onwards, after 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, how your amount of money which is going to change, like. So that real worth of the corpus also you must try to find out. Now the other important point which I want to discuss with you, that the increasing medical expenses, right? Now which we have already experienced in the case of COVID, right? Now in that particular case, now how much money a particular family which they spend on the medical expenses, lakhs of rupees they spend on the medical expenses, but even it is not possible to get back their life because of a particular disease which is called COVID. Now in future, who knows what type of diseases which are maybe prone to affect your life or your family members life. So according to that, how much money which you require to meet these medical expenses. And medical expenses may also varies from city to city, hospital to hospital. Now in India, you know that we have two ways of the medical services. One way is called, the government is also offering medical services at free of cost or nominal charges. Now, the private hospitals or corporate hospitals are also offering medical services, but the rates are different from one group of hospitals to the other group of hospitals. Now, the hospitals are not for the service. Now, they are also now converted into limited companies now. For example, in our city, KIMS Hospital is there, Krishna Institute of Medical Sciences. Now, that is a listed company. Now their shares are trading in the stock exchange. So like this, if the hospitals are converted into the limited companies, now everybody knows that when it is a company, they are working with for the profits. So that's why the rates which are very high, now the corporates are playing an important role, and that's why these expenses varies from one city to the other. That is also presented here. Goa, it is how much, Delhi, Punjab, Maharashtra, like the average expenditure per hospitalization which is presented here. So it varies from city to city, disease to disease, and the country to country also, the expenses which will vary. And according to that, your family history is also important. Family history in the name of health history of your family. Some families are prone to sugar, BP, and other diseases. Now, for that, you must also try to plan your corpus to meet these diseases, and we have to pay in the future. For that, in as early as possible, you must go with by taking Medicare policies, or you can also uh, invest some amount of money for the purpose of future requirements. Now, the other point also which I want to share with you, early retirement. So most people in India believe that saving money is the only way to be financially independent and stable, right? So early retirement is, this is a new concept which is now talking in the urban areas of the country. Now, if they want to accumulate as maximum as possible in the early age, and they also wants to retire from their work. So that is one another concept. But so what is there in your mind is also important. You want to retire early, or you want to retire at the age of 60 or 70 or 80, like forget about the number of years which are specified by the universities or government, like. So even we are also experiencing that the professors may be retired from the university services, are also working with different colleges or the business schools, like. But there are different mottos. So they may be working for one way, it may be the money, the other way it may be their passion. There are different motives are there, anyhow they are into earning the amount of money. Okay, so no, based on that, so what if of expenses which you want to meet in the form of the medical expenses, which you are also going to identify in advance. So financial independence is important. So even at the age of 80 or 90 also, you must have your own financial independence. Now, for the purpose of that, you can set your goals. You can also develop your amount of emergency savings. Not only that, you can also manage the risk of your investments. You can also invest the money as soon as possible at the early age. You can also review the your assets which are already acquired from the time to time or over a certain period. So tax relief also you must try to consider how much tax benefit which you will get, and according to that, so somebody may be into 10% tax bracket, some may be into 0% tax bracket, or 20-30% like. So even after your retirement also, you may be into how much tax bracket like, or how you may be getting some relief also. For example, at present you may be into 30%, after your retirement you may be come down to 10%. The 20% relief is there, even though it depends on the incomes which you are going to generate. So ultimately, why this retirement planning? This retirement planning is for peace of mind. Otherwise, it is very difficult to uh, difficult to continue your retirement life freely or willfully or lovingly, like. Now that's why the effective method is very simple. You you must try to accumulate certain amount of corpus. So anyhow, how to prepare for the retirement planning? These are the steps. Identify your retirement goals, analyzing your current financial position, understanding your income sources, investment planning, planning for unforeseen or unidentified life events. So managing your retirement income, and continuous monitoring of retirement assets, like. So anyhow, we have to discuss one by one. Identify your retirement goals. Your retirement goals are very much smart. Smart is in the form of specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. You must achieve. So for that, now the specific goals which you must try to identify. Please Take a paper and write down your specific goals, what you want to achieve, and it must be measurable in the sense how much money which is required in how many years which you will achieve this goal. Now, is it possible to achieve or any deviations are there? Now, the time is also important, is 5 years, 10 years, 15 years like. So that's why it must be very much smart in nature. So analyze your current financial position. So current financial position is a positive or maybe a negative. Positive means excess of assets over liabilities or liabilities are more than your assets like. So that is very important. You can also prepare your personal income statement and you can also prepare your personal balance sheet. Now, try to list out your assets and liabilities on the paper and try to match it. Assets are more or liabilities are more or incomes are more or expenses are more like. Now, understanding your income sources is very important. So from where you will get your income. Now, before the retirement, you will get the income. Your major source of income is your salary. The other or additional source, other sources may be the different sources like if you may give the guest lecture or maybe value the papers or different works also there or somebody may be having their own businesses like. Now, based on that, the main income and the other sources of income before your retirement, after your retirement is also important. So, investment planning, you want to invest in highly risky securities, moderately risky securities, or low risk securities, like which type of securities that you want to invest in. So, higher the risk return you want, risk will be higher. If return is moderate, risk will also be moderate, like. So there are different types of securities which are there for higher risk, moderate risk, lower risk, like according to your bearing capacity, you can select the securities based on the risk. So planning for unforeseen life events. For example, the corona, nobody expected that, right? Now, for the purpose of that, nobody or very few are having corpus of to meet the health expenses, but majority of the people they are not having that much money into their accounts like this. We will call it as the amount of money which you will accumulate for the unforeseen events, but nobody are having that particular thing. And if the idea is not at all you have, and because of that the money which may not be there with you, that's why they are into debt trap after the this particular period. So managing your retirement income, that is also important. How you will manage your income? If you retire, how much retirement benefit you will get, and how much the the retirement money every month you will get, and what are the other sources like if you may be created the assets like buildings, it may be rented, how much rent you will get like. If agriculture land is there, how much money you will get from the agriculture land like. So that's why you must try to plan your income. So continuous monitoring of retirement assets. So continuously you have to monitor your assets, and based on that, what is the liquidity of this asset today? Is the asset value is increasing or decreasing? Now this is possible with the help of the continuous monitoring. So ultimately, how much money will you need when you retire? The kind of lifestyle is important. Where you are living is important. So how many years which you are going to live is also important after the retirement. So based on your family history and the present working conditions, so your income will come after retirement is how much. So here decide the retirement age. That is one important point. At what age you want to retire. Okay. So based on that, now you can try to plan the amount of money which is required for the rest of the life. So suppose there are three friends, Ram, Raj, and Rahim. Each of them are 25 years of age. These three friends decided that they would like to retire at the age of 60 with a healthy retirement corpus. For example, they started the SIP systematic investment plan of 5,000 per month in an equity mutual fund immediately after making this decision. So I'm talking about RAM. Is mutual funds yielded a return of 12% per annum over the next 35 years. So because they want to retire at the age of 60 years, rest of the life is 35. So by the time Ram was 60 years of age, SIP will create the amount of money is 3.24 crores. Now the other person is same amount of money 5,000 per month, but after the 5 years of Ram, that is 35 years started. Now that corpus is becomes 1.76, and the third person is very late, that is at the age of 40. Now the remaining is only 20 years, and the amount of money which is going to accumulate is only 95 lakhs. Now this is the difference. The when you are going to start is very important. If you start early, now you will accumulate more amount of corpus. If you start after 10 years of your career or 20 years or 15 years, the corpus is very less. So these are the three examples which I have presented here. Now you can observe how they are going to accumulate their retirement corpus. Anyhow, uh, calculate the monthly expenses after the retirement. So you can also try to expect that how much monthly expenses may be there after your retirement. Now, calculate monthly income after the retirement. That is also calculate net income required after the retirement. So your expenses, your income, and you will get a net of it. Is this net income is possible to run your family for 1 month? For example, if your monthly income is 50,000, expenses 30,000, the net income is 20,000 like. But you must try to expect that how much income you are going to generate, now how much expenditure may be there, and according to that net is how much. So calculate the future value of required income. So experts advise that 6% inflation you must try to consider. So average of the past 10 years you can also calculate. Now this is the formula which you can use this for the future value. Now you know very well about the future value calculation. Now calculate retirement corpus. So since the retirement corpus must last from the 25 to 30 years after the retirement, like now how many years which you are expecting after your retirement, that is also important. Track and review the plan over a period of time. Now you can also try to calculate the current corpus and calculate the additional corpus which is required because of the changing factors, the factors which will worsen your income in the future. Now for that the additional is how much. So for that additional monthly savings is how much you require to meet those additional expenses. Now with the help of that, this is the budget which you can prepare on your own. So your current income from employment, add the expenses that are expected to rise when you retire, medical expenses, travel and leisure, others. Now find out the subtotal, and you can also deduct expenses that are expected to decline when you retire. Certain expenses are not required. For example, income taxes, the slab which will decrease. Now retirement plan contributions and savings into non-retirement accounts, job expenses, mortgages. Now tuition and other children expenses will comes down. Now others and subtotal also you will try to find out, and estimated retirement budget. Ultimately, estimated retirement expenses as a percentage of your current income is how much, that you can work out. So you can take the retirement plan calculator. Now much of knowledge is not required, but only thing is that you please go through this website and enter the amounts. So what is your current age? You please enter your current age. Retirement age is how much? You can enter your retirement age. So life expectancy according to the past history of your family is how much? That also you can enter here. Current monthly expenses is how much? That also you can enter. And current retirement funds is how much? How much money which is accumulated up to this? That you can also enter. Expected growth rate of the current retirement fund is here. How much growth rate you are expecting? That also you can enter. Average inflation till lifetime, how much you are expecting? You can also enter here. Expected return on investment till the retirement, how much return you are expecting? You can also enter. Now, expected ROI, return on investment after the retirement, is how much? If you enter these values, please go through this website. So, that is getmoneyrich.com, retirement planning. If you visit this website, please enter these values. Now you will get the how much monthly income which is required after your retirement. You can also try to find out the total retirement fund is required. You will get an additional retirement fund also, how much you required and how much this is going to be accumulated from today onwards to up to the date of retirement. So ultimately monthly income investment is required, because this money which you have to invest, this will accumulate this money. For example, in this example which I have calculated, that total retirement fund required is 1 crore 65 lakhs. Now additional retirement fund is required 1 crore 39 lakhs. So monthly how much you have to accumulate? 18,488 rupees. With these expected values, now which you will meet this corpus. So please visit this website and enter the current age, retirement age, and other details which are given in the website. You can also try to get the amount of money which you are going to accumulate and how much money which you have to invest every month from today onwards up to the retirement. So these are the different investment options we have. So anyhow,
Excuse
may I
me,
stop here?
sir.
May I stop?